Hey, it's Brunch with Brian, your home investing live stream. And today I want to talk about the 3 steps of every deal. I want you to have your pen ready today. This is important notes. I've told you this maybe in the past, and maybe you've heard me talk about the 3 steps of every deal to get a deal and to buy a house with creative financing. So obviously you're going to have to get some kind of business set up, some kind of legal entity. Actually, you don't even need that. You could go out and just buy a house in your own personal name or just buy it in a trust. You don't even have to have an LLC to set up a trust. All you need is a piece of paper, a trust agreement. And so you could go out there and just do these 3 steps and buy a house today, starting today. So everything starts with the opening call. Now, sometimes if you just call off of Zillow, there's a phone number. That's the seller. That's you and the seller talking to each other. So that's what your goal is, to get you and the seller on the phone together. Now, the opening call sometimes is handled by someone else, like a VA, because you want to get volume there. You want to get as many as you can to pre-screen out some that are less good, or at least get an indication of which ones are good and which ones aren't before you do the closing call. Now, I have to say, when I first started this business, I was doing all my own opening calls, and I would just roll them right into the closing call. So the 3 big steps, there's setup and there's marketing. Okay, those are the 2 kind of things that you have to be concerned about at the outset if you've never done a deal before. But believe it or not, you could dispense with those. You don't need those. You just need those to get leads to talk to. But if you had someone who was a friend of yours and they're thinking of selling their house, and you just do basically our opening call. Now, what form or script? Now, this is an important script. It's built into the opening call. Sometimes you'll see an opening call and it's just a bunch of blanks. Well, what do you say? How do you ask for that mortgage information? Just because there's a blank there that says first mortgage in a line, that doesn't say, you can't ask that. That's not a script. So you can't say, first mortgage line, please respond. You have to ask them for this information. You have to ask them for everything. So that's why I want you to use our FSBO opening call script. It's the most important single sheet of paper, and it's really, this is 20 years of work of doing this business to compile this and get it perfect. And constantly, the most recent change I made was I put the square footage and the year built and the bedroom bathroom count in a little box on the upper right side, because when you can just look at those in a glance, it's very convenient. And also it gives you more room on the page. So the new FSBO script that you should be doing has number 5. It's called number 5. There's a 5 there, and it's FSBO opening call script. If you don't have that script, that's the opening call script if you're doing an outbound call. Then we have another one called the incoming seller opening call script. That's if they're calling you off some marketing. It's the same script. The very beginning is a little bit different. Okay. And then we have our landlord opening call script. So those are all opening calls. So the 3 big steps of the business are opening call, write this down, opening call, number 2, closing call, number 3, deal meeting. Okay, now after that, there's also an attorney meeting, but that's not one of the big 3 steps. The big 3 steps is opening call, closing call, deal meeting. Okay, so on opening call, your goals, and this is where I want you to write this down, because it's much, if you can sort of see the holistic view of a whole deal happening in front of you, what are the steps to make that happen? Let's cover that right now, and this is exciting, because you're going to see the, what is it? I never added them all up. I think it's 15 steps. But it's broken into opening call, closing call, deal meeting, and some of them are repetitive. So opening call, let's start off with the opening call. What are the 3 steps of the opening call? Number 1 is I want you to establish credibility. That comes from your voice, from the way you handle yourself. This is also true for your VA now. I'm holding a lead that was an incredible closing call, so I'm going to talk about this when I get to the closing call. So establish credibility. Number 2 is build rapport. You want to make some kind of a connection with that customer where they don't just feel like a number, okay, like you're just taking another number. And so that's establish credibility, look like you have a good business, build rapport, make friends a little bit, and you hope your VA is doing this. because it's easier when you get on the closing call if they go, oh yeah, I remember talking to Melissa. She was so friendly. You know, oh, that's great, man. If you've got it in there. Okay, so establish credibility, build rapport, and the third thing is really the primary thing is, but the other two parts make it easier, gather information. So number 3 is gather information. I hope you're writing this down. So the first 2 steps help you with the third step. Basically, the first 2 steps are so you can do the third step successfully and the ongoing steps. So now closing call. So like I said, this is a closing call that Lynette just made on one of our deals, and we're getting a good deal on the house. This is a deal at a distance. It's not in Arizona. This one, it looks like we're going to pay around 125, just the rough numbers. It's a 3-1. 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It's 1,574 square feet. That's pretty good size. Sometimes you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's like, you know, 1,200 or even 1,000 square feet. That's kind of small. Sometimes you get a 3-2 that's like 1,800 or 2,000 square feet that you rejoice. If you can write 2,000 square feet in the ad and it's a 3-2 or even a 4-2, but you can write that 2,000, that's one of my top things in the ad. So this one looks good. And now it's a vacant property and we're buying it for nothing down, $900 a month. And we've got, you know, time to pay them off. So this is a really good deal. And we just got it today. It was actually, I think, a no lead. So this was a really good deal. That's a closing call. Now, what had to happen on that closing call to make that deal happen and set the deal meeting? Okay, so here's what happens on the closing call. Number 1, establish credibility. Number 2, build rapport. So those 2 things are the same. You know, even if you've heard me talk about this before, I want you writing it down this time. So number 1, establish. You'll remember it better if your eyes can visually see the words on the page. Believe it or not, establish credibility, build rapport. The first 2 steps are the same because you got to start all over on the closing call. Remember, you didn't establish your credibility and build your rapport with the seller. Maybe it was a VA. So I will tell you, if you did the opening call, if you're doing an opening call where you're just rolling into the closing call, then obviously you don't have to spend so much time. You already did the establish credibility and build rapport parts. So on a closing call, what's next on a closing call? Establish credibility, build rapport, and then what? Work out the 4 deal points. These are the 4 pretty house deal points. This is sort of the negotiation part. And some of this, you know, if you've already gotten some answers on the opening call that it's going to be a subject to deal, then you don't have as much of this to work out. But remember, you pretty much on any creative financing deal have to work out purchase price, monthly payment, length of term, and down payment or option deposit. So those are the 4 things you got to work out at this point in the closing call. So that's number 3. So establish credibility 1, build rapport 2, and then this is work out the 4 pretty house deal points, or 4 creative financing deal points, we call them. That's number 3. Number 4 is answer questions and objections. Now, sometimes it's really smooth, and because the scripts are so well written and explain so much so well, you may actually not get a lot of questions at this point. So if they're ready to go, then you're ready to go as well.
Speaking of number 4,
the closing call. Here's Lynette.
Okay,
making her appearance.
Hot off the press, you guys. I just got
get
off
up
the
here,
phone.
Lynette.
And I just got off the phone, and this was a yellow letter campaign that me and Brian sent out to another state.
Yep.
You guys know we have deals at a distance. So this was a yellow letter to a free and clear house. And literally, I just got off the phone. I'm excited.
Yes, you're excited. So this was a good deal. Lynette did what we talked about. She established credibility. Yes. Lynette has a way of establishing credibility just through the way she handles herself. She comes off very confidently.
That's right.
And number 2, build rapport. Sometimes she doesn't take as much time.
Sometimes I'm a little bit quick.
I will tell you though that her voice, somehow her voice, it's not threatening and builds a kind of a natural rapport. Number 3, work out the 4 pretty house deal points.
So this is the deal. The seller was asking $125,000. He said he's flexible. I said, is that the best you can do? And he said, no, I probably have some flexibility. Don't you need to come see the house? I'm like, okay. So I said, that's within the range. No worries. So $125,000. And the house, it needs a little bit of paint, no big deal. Little touch up there, but pretty much a pretty house deal. What we call a pretty house deal.
Yes,
the house
might need a
doesn't
pretty house polish.
Yeah, maybe a little paint. That's it. Anyway, I said, we usually put nothing down. And the seller said, okay. And it's free and clear. And I said, what's the least amount we could pay you per month until we pay you off in full? And the seller said $900. And I said, we need years and not months. So we're going to hone into the years. Once we get there in person, we have an appointment this Saturday at 5:00 p.m. Obviously, we live in Arizona. This is in a different state. So we're going to send out our boots on the ground to go meet with the seller, but I'll be available via video chat.
Right. So that's going to be
just like I'm there.
The deal meeting.
It's
so
a virtual deal meeting.
It's a virtual deal meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go through the steps of the deal meeting in just a second.
All right.
Why don't I go through that right now?
No, I gotta go make some more calls.
Lynette's got to go run and make some more calls.
Bye, everybody.
All right. So that's exciting. That's how these deals work, guys. And you just need to talk to enough people and follow the scripts. And it's amazing how it works out. Just follow the system. Sometimes people have so much doubt in themselves and think, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And they've got this nagging doubt. But if you just follow the system and have some sort of confidence in the way you portray yourself, it's amazing how the deal just happens. And so after the closing call, you work out the 4 pretty house deal points and answer their questions and objections. That was number 4. And number 5 is the big one, set the appointment. Set the appointment for the deal meeting. So that's what we did on that one. So we have a deal meeting appointment for Saturday at 5 p.m. And that's when you go and meet the seller at the house. So what's the steps of the deal meeting? Now, it can be virtual. And when you're doing deals at a distance, it's going to be virtual. So sometimes it's virtual. Sometimes you're actually physically going over there. But they always start with the same 2 things. Like I said before, number 1, establish credibility. And number 2, build rapport. And I know you get sick of writing that, but you got to start over from square one every time. If you just walk into that deal meeting and start, oh, show me the house, because number 3 is the house tour. Okay, so number 3, write down house tour. So if you just knock on their door and they say, hi, how are you? And you go, hi, let's see the house. You know, and you just start running around. Establishing credibility can be as simple as what you should be doing is handing them your very, very nice looking business card and shaking their hand. Well, that's, whatever. So handing them your business card with a big smile under your mask, they can tell. Whatever, hopefully you're not wearing a mask or whatever the situation is. Okay, so at any rate, you're meeting these people in person or doing it virtually, as I said, and either one is good, but you still got to do those 2 steps. Establish credibility, build rapport, say, hi, how you doing? And remind them. Now, if you can pull out a fact from the closing call, that's really awesome. Like something you remember, like a pet name or something, that really is a winner if you can remember a pet name. All right, so then you do the house tour number 3. Then you sit down and what do? Complete the paperwork. Okay, so now hopefully there's not a lot of questions and objections. There may be some questions and objections in there, but essentially you're completing the paperwork, going through and getting the signature. Okay, and then the last thing, and this we didn't used to have this be step 5. We didn't have a step 5 before. Step 5 is now get their Zillow and Nextdoor listings. Get them to turn them over to you right on the spot. It's a great stick campaign to make sure that they don't keep taking calls and maybe try to get out of your agreement. So that's a really good, they turn over the Zillow account to you and then they're done. So that's it, guys. That's all the steps. That's really the steps to buying a house. There's 5 steps to closing call, 5 steps to a deal meeting, 3 steps to the opening call. So if you can get through those 13 steps, you're going to be golden. So, and again, sometimes they're mashed together if you're doing the opening and closing call together. I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys just to follow that simple step. Don't overcomplicate this stuff. It's not that complicated if you have the checklists and the scripts. So get to our what to say and what to do system and follow the closing call scripts. There's a basic closing call script and there's a seller financing closing call script. And there's a sandwich lease purchase. Those are the basics. There's not a lot of different ones there. Subject to sandwich lease purchase, seller financing. Then we have another one in the script packet called the basic closing call script. So that's pretty much all you need. And then you just got to talk to enough people. All right, so I'm excited for you. Let's get real excited. Let's smile real big and take deep breaths, okay? Deep breath in. Okay, let it out. Loosen up your shoulders. This makes you better during the day. This makes you more effective. And I want you to use deep breathing, not just now, but other times during the day. Deep breath in. Always with a big smile. Let it out. Another deep breath in. Okay, and let's do our affirmation. I will follow the steps to success. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I will follow the steps to success. One more time. I will follow the steps to success. Yes, and those are those simple steps that we just went over. In this market, guys, once you buy that house, you're going to be able to find lots of buyers, build your buyers list quickly, and we'll help you with that too. We even have a whole system called Building Your Buyers List. So we love helping you in every way we can. And today we'll be out in the field showing you another property that we're working on. It's Thursdays Live with the Wolves at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. And that's always a great time. And you'll get to see Lynette, sometimes me, running around looking at houses, and lots of interaction on that. Lots more than on Brunch with Brian, because Lynette really is talking to you, asking you guys lots of questions and all your opinions on the property. So that's always great fun. So don't miss it. If you've never been on it, definitely go today, because today's going to be a great one, as they all are. And if you're a regular, make sure you don't miss it. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. See you on Thursdays Live with the Wolves. And until then, keep expecting success, getting awesome training, and as always, taking lots of action.